Hello everyone, welcome to Goodison Park. Safe to say this was not a happy place today, apart from that corner just over there, lower tier, 1,700 Norwich City fans who enjoyed one of the special away days, and I have to say that because Norwich don't win very often away from home in the Premier League. So any 3-point victory on the road at this level, certainly in the last 20 years, is worth savouring. And this was excellent. This was very good. And I say that as someone who had genuinely really worried about Norwich in recent weeks. I'm sure I'm not alone, but the reasons for that were performance-based, even more than results. And even though you wanted them to get a result ahead of maybe improving their performances, it was the way they weren't doing the things they were good at and how open they looked in transition and how they were struggling to create chances and take them. That, fundamental problems that were really worrying. So to see how well Norwich played, how well they knitted together today was hugely promising on its own. Had Norwich have drawn today, you'd have looked at it and gone, yeah, okay, let's see what you do with that. But to keep a clean sheet and to produce a 2-0 victory, yeah, phenomenal. Obviously that then gets reflected in the fact that Everton started the second half looking a bit more promising and raising their tempo and pressing slightly higher, but they were horribly disjointed, and there were more than the odd Everton fan around us calling for Marco Silva to be sacked. So we'll have to see how that all pans out. And Paddy Boylan was the Everton guy I was with here for the Athletic today, so I'm sure he'll be keeping you in touch with that, as well as Greg, who also covers Everton. I mean, it's a proper club. They've got a nicely balanced squad, and they had looked like they turned a bit of a corner. But I have to say, this place was so passive, and you can look at the players and the way they were playing and how lacklustre they were, but the whole place never got going at any point really. And it must be difficult for Everton, sort of sitting in a halfway land where they want to kick on and expand and progress, and the Premier League is a bear pit. And I'm not just going to waffle on about Everton, but the point with that is it's an ideal context for where Norwich are, because Norwich, even attempting to try and finish above Everton this season, which a few weeks ago, if Everton win a relegation struggle, could have been one of the arguments. A phenomenal challenge given Norwich's budget, given the players, the stepping up they're having to do, and all those sort of things, all those themes we've gone over millions of times. It's just sometimes really good to take in that context when you consider the result and the performance today. No particular changes in shape, but the changes in personnel really did make a difference. Sam Byram, defensively fantastic. 2 natural holding midfielders in front of the back 4, which, I mean, we saw the best of Alex Tettey and Tom Tribal today and how they took things on, and actually that was how solid they looked in the Championship in the first season under Farker. The way they interchanged positions, covered the spaces out wide, and where actually you could allow the players higher up the pitch to do the business with the ball if they moved it through to them quickly. And I mean, that has to be a template going forward, to have 2 defensively minded players in those roles like that, because I thought it worked perfectly. Again, against an Everton side that were clearly misfiring, but it also relied on the 3 ahead of those 2, the way they worked so hard. Kenny McLean especially, but also then how Todd Cantwell and Hernandez helped cover the fullbacks and helped offer them protection. Sam Byram, what a performance from him. His last 2 Norwich City starts, off the top of my head, were both wins, and they were here and at home to Manchester City. The guy has been hugely unfortunate, even though he should have scored, by the way, and probably been sent off. Apart from those 2 minor details, the guy's been hugely unlucky not to feature more, because Norwich have got 2 very impressive young fullbacks. But Sam's case for starting now, be it on the left or right, and getting a run of games that he's never really had in his career since it got hit by injuries, I think he deserves that now, because he's looking really comfortable and performing really well defensively, and what is one of Norwich's big weaknesses, it has been defensively. Can't of course ignore Christoph Zimmermann's return in the middle either. It did exactly what it was supposed to today in terms of raising the game around others, offering a leadership in that central defensive role that we haven't really seen all season. He's a hugely important player. It was nice to see the theme carried on from the 12 minutes he was fit for against West Ham, because West Ham scored their opening goal when he was already injured, and then we didn't see him again. I wrote my piece on The Athletic at the start of the international break. It said that Christoph Zimmermann would start this afternoon, so it shouldn't have been a surprise to any of you if you were reading, but likewise everything stipulated in that story happened today, and that offers real hope for what Norwich do next. And I have to say, if Norwich can build on this and improve and show that confidence, then taking on Arsenal at Carrow Road shouldn't be anything to be scared of. That's not to say they'll win, that's not to say they'll get a point, that's not to say they might not lose 3-0 because Arsenal turn it on, because they can do that. But the most depressing thing about the last couple of months has been Norwich's performance levels and the lack of hope and optimism in terms of how they were doing things and what they were trying to do. Today we saw something very different. It really cost Everton in terms of the atmosphere and their own hopes going forwards. But in terms of Norwich, it's galvanised a lot. And the amount of emphasis on any kind of Premier League game, whether you lose it, whether you win it, is huge. This is not the Championship where you build up momentum over 6, 7, 8, 10 games, or where you can always respond. So if you lose 1 in 10, it's fine. The Premier League, the intensity is huge. And I think what we've just seen here is a massive fillip, a massive boost of confidence. The key is that Norwich have to bottle it up and use it to really get to grips with how they can then tackle Arsenal and put in a likewise positive performance, because I think now they've done this away from home, a special occasion away from home at this level. They now need to show that at Carrow Road and really get 27,000 fans back behind them like they managed against Manchester City the last time Sam Byram started the game. I haven't checked that stat, by the way, so I'm really hoping it's true. Anyway, loads of full analysis will be on its way to The Athletic. It'll be a busy week, of course, so make sure you subscribe. There's a free trial if you haven't subscribed and you're thinking, yeah, but do I really want to know that Christoph Zimmermann is back 2 weeks before everyone else? Well, yes, of course you do. So get over to The Athletic. You can register for a free trial. Get involved, follow the stuff, because there's loads of great content well beyond the Norwich content as well. I can assure you of that. But in the meantime, enjoy a victory. Norwich City have won here 2-0. By the way, I haven't even mentioned Dennis Srbeny, and we're 7 minutes in. Dennis Srbeny, great strength, great power. And in the words of Tim Krul, who was speaking to in the mix zone, he's been telling Dennis his moment will come. Josip Drmic is injured. Timo Pukki is still putting the work in, but he can't do it all on his own. And Dennis's power, he offered something a little bit different, and in that it was a brilliantly taken goal. And I haven't even mentioned Todd Cantwell. Everything you need to know about Todd Cantwell is in my piece on The Athletic about Todd. We didn't get to see him as a number 10 today, but we will. I'm sure we will at some point. And if he keeps playing like that, that was back to his best from earlier in the season today. He was clearly excited about starting the game beforehand, and I think he'll enjoy coming up against Arsenal next week. So we'll see. Yeah, it's nice to have a bit of optimism, isn't it? There you go, The Athletic, all the other stuff you need to know. If you're watching it on Facebook, YouTube, whichever, like, subscribe, comment, enjoy yourself. I always read the comments, so say whatever you want, I'll give it a read. And in the meantime, I'm going to go and catch up with my evening. See you later. Enjoy it.